here we are, Indigenous Peoples Day, right? October 11th, 2021.
That's it.
I'm Diane Barrett. I'm interviewing Evonne Davenport for the BE collection.
That's me.
That's you. That's good. So we're doing an audio interview with Evonne, and we're honoring her relationship with Gloria and Zufall. Did I say that right, Evonne?
Right. Yep, that's correct.
Oh, good. So anyway, this is part of the To Have and To Hold, part of the collection. So thank you for joining us this morning. And
you're welcome.
We look forward to hearing about your relationship with Gloria. How did you first meet Gloria?
Well, we both were our PE teachers.
Uh-huh.
Gloria taught at Fresno State University, and I taught at the time at San Jose City College. And I was in charge. Besides teaching there, I was in charge of the professional organization that trained officials for various sports. Gloria was starting a volleyball team at Fresno State and needed some officials, referees. So she made an appointment to bring some students over to San Jose so we could have a clinic for them to be rated and learn officiating. And so that's when she came with the students. That's how I first met her.
Mm-hmm.
I had a couple of friends in San Jose or Santa Clara who knew Gloria, but I had not met Gloria.
Have they told you about Gloria, that you might like to meet her?
Yeah, they had mentioned that shortly before this officiating meeting.
So were you a single woman when this was going on?
Yes, I was single, and basically so was she.
Good.
So
that helps.
We had the clinic, and it was sort of like, especially in retrospect, we clicked together professionally, looking at things the same. But one instance that I remember is we were both in my office. The clinic was over, and the students were out, and she was headed for the door to go back to Fresno, and turned. We're saying, well, goodbye, and maybe we'll get in touch sometime, and some conversation like that. And essentially, we both said yes, and we exchanged phone numbers. So that was really the first any kind of reach out we made to each other.
Mm-hmm. And then did you have an official date after that?
Yes, and we had a couple of telephone conversations, and then a short time later, I can't remember how much longer, the apartment where I lived in San Jose, actually it was in Santa Clara, I shared with another woman who was also a lesbian, but we were just roommates. And so we were going to have a dinner party at our apartment and invited some local friends of ours. And the friends that I had who knew Gloria were going to be there. So they said they were going to, I said, well, invite Gloria to come with you, which she did.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of was the beginning, and we played some games and things, and basically she never left. She went back to Fresno, but she never left my place either.
And she never left your heart.
That's exactly right.
I said, I recall in talking to you before that you had a trip out of the country planned that you'd made a commitment to.
Yes. I had made a commitment to go on a sabbatical, which meant the following school year I was going to be not teaching. I was going to be on this sabbatical in Europe, a big part of that year. And after Gloria and I had talked on the phone several times and had met in Fresno a few times on weekends, it became obvious that we had definite interest in each other, and I wanted to tell her up front that I wasn't going to be here at my usual teaching job starting in September. Of course, we both had jobs. We had to finish that semester. So in essence, Gloria said, well, I'd like to go with you. I said, "Whoa!" And I agreed that would be great. So
You did. So you were ready for that commitment.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
That was really the finalization,
I'll say.
we had already discussed that I did not want to move to Fresno, but she was willing to move to the San Jose area. So we had the rest of the school year met on and off, and then through the summer got arrangements and things made for our trip, and stored stuff from apartments and whatever. And in September we left for Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Flew to London as a starting point. We were there 7 months.
Wow, all in London?
No, that was just starting point. And I had ordered a Volvo station wagon for us to travel in, and I was to pick that up in London. So that's why London was our first stop. And I already had specific appointments arranged in Europe, various places in Europe, for going to universities or schools that trained physical education teachers. That was my sabbatical part. But any of the times that we were not involved in going to one of those was just tourist times for us.
Who would you say was more? Who would you say was more assertive of the two of you?
The more assertive?
Mm-hmm. Or aggressive? We could use that one.
I think at that point, certainly me, because I'd been the one that made all the arrangements, but she was very agreeable, and anything that she disagreed with, which wasn't very much, we talked about. But I think that start was, I had everything arranged for our trip, and that was why I was really in charge for that part. But that was fine with her. We agreed to that. So we were in London for a while, and then went to a few of our schools in Europe. Then after for a few months, and then if we weren't on a specific trip to a school, then we took side trips for being a tourist.
So do you think that was what you would call your most interesting adventure, that trip to Europe?
I would definitely say so. In fact, in retrospect, several times we've called it our 7-month honeymoon.
What year was that?
That was 1967. 67, 68.
So your anniversary is in 66, right?
Yes, in January of 66. That was the house party where we made everything work.
So what attracted you to her when you saw it initially?
I guess just basically she was a very easy person to talk to and friendly.
Had you ever had anyone want you so much that they were going to change their whole life? In a heartbeat?
Well, I had never thought that from anyone either. I had relationships before, but
not like
nothing
this.
that triggered that kind of observation that this is going to be it. So and she was very agreeable. That was, and all her life she was very agreeable. And if things didn't go the way we wanted, we just talked things out. And so, and in Europe, of course, we didn't have somebody to run to. We were just the only ones. So that's,
that probably helped.
And I'm sure it did. We had a few little disagreements, and we got those settled. Neither one of us left to go back to the States until it was time.
So what do you think kept that your relationship with Gloria magical?
Well, I think we have such similar interests in education as well as lifestyle. We both like to exercise. We both enjoy walking and training and that all of those kinds of activities. But for me, I technically was a bit more of an introvert than she was, and she made me feel really at ease in talking and being together and all of that. I felt very at ease and comfortable, and that was a real positive for me, and apparently for her too. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Did you find that transferred to your professional life too? Just having somebody want you that much?
You mean her?
Right. Well, you said you were. She made you feel at ease with who you were as a person.
Yeah.
It sounds like. But then my question is, did that transfer to your other relationships?
Okay. Yeah. Let me mention a little bit that in my professional relationship, I wasn't really as much of an introvert as I was in personal relationships.
Got it.
So, but that personal relationship with her really supported how I felt I really was in terms of professional. So it was like, okay, this is okay for me. That's part of me. I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it affected me, but I wasn't a total introvert in my profession either.
I could tell that. So I remember you started a Christmas tree farm business. How did that happen?
Yeah, when we came back from Europe it was about in February or March. We had to have a place to live, and we bought a home in San Jose, and we lived, and it was within driving distance for my job at City College, and Gloria had gotten a job at a middle school in Fremont, which is near San Jose. And we lived there in San Jose for 9 years, but in the process of that, Gloria was still wanting to get a college job, and I was at San Jose City College, and fortunately, an opening came at our school, and I recommended to our supervisors that they interview Gloria for the job.
Mm-hmm.
Well, long story short, she was a perfect match and got the job. So we both taught at the same school.
Oh, that's great.
And
so
then
at this time, remember we talked before about in 1962 that people had to take an oath, the teachers saying that they were not homosexual. So at this time, was that over?
Well, we were never confronted with doing that or being asked to do that. But, living during that time, both of us, now together, we were cautious.
Right.
We never tried to hide that we lived together, but we never talked about anything that we did at home or visited or anything. The colleagues that we worked with were very kind. They didn't question us at all, and we didn't give them any reason to. So, but we were both well accepted into our jobs there at San Jose City College.
Good.
Now, you asked about the Christmas tree farm.
I did.
After living in town for 9 years, working and everything, we both agreed that we'd kind of like to live more in the suburbs and not quite so much in town. So we began to search in south of San Jose. We looked around in a small town called Morgan Hill, and that is where we had a realtor, of course. A realtor took us to this farm, and we said, we're up for that. That was a Christmas tree farm, 5 acres, just a few miles outside of Morgan Hill, and it had a home on it, so the trees, you lived right in the middle of the trees. Well, we loved it. Not that we knew anything about growing Christmas trees, but we loved the place, and we knew we could learn how to do it, and so we sold the home in San Jose and bought the Christmas tree farm. And that was in 1974, I think.
Boy,
maybe
that's an adventure.
Yeah.
It
certainly was.
How long did you keep it?
20 years.
Wow, that's a commitment.
Yeah, it is. And during the first couple of years of that, it was certainly a learning experience. Fortunately, one of the people who also had a Christmas tree farm in the area was a guy and his wife by the name of John, and he was a wonderful person as well as a good Christmas tree farmer. So we became very close with John and learned a lot about the Christmas tree business. Plus, he told us about the Christmas Tree Growers Association, the state organization. Of course, most places have organizations. So we became members of that and went to some seminars and classes with that and learned a lot. Plus, learned just on hand with John. But the Christmas Tree Growers Association is also where we found out we can buy our seedlings to replant each year. And so that made a great connection for us. So between our learning and finding where to buy the little trees and how to plant them and all of that, we managed to get the farm going, and we added a lot more trees than had been there from the previous owners.
So did they actually come and cut the tree that they selected?
People came and cut their own tree. That's right.
That's a big one.
It's wonderful because, we were only about 8 or 10 miles out of town and residential areas all around. And there were, in the area at that time, there were two other Christmas tree growers in the Morgan Hill area and several in the mountains by Santa Cruz. So it wasn't an unknown thing for people to go to a Christmas tree farm. We just became another one for them to choose from. And we learned how to trim them, and from John, we got a couple of workers who knew exactly how to do the trimming for the Christmas trees. And then, of course, we knew how, but we weren't going to do it. It was hard work.
Yeah.
So we had the workers that helped us do that.
That was always such a hurdle when I grew up, finding the Christmas tree, the perfect tree. I lived in Chicago. It was cold. My mother would stay in the car because it was too damn cold. My father, my sister, and I would pick the tree. And, of course, we'd pick the biggest tree in the lot.
Of course.
And then we would come to the house, which was not big, put this tree in the window. Yeah. And, of course, it wouldn't be straight. And then my father would have to saw something off the bottom. The stand was like 5 inches across. So then we would take thread and tie the tree to the window. And the thing never fell over.
Part of the experience, yeah.
It was magic. But it was a memorable experience.
That was great.
So you were part of all that.
And everything.
What?
We had saws available for people, and most people loved cutting their own trees. There were occasions that maybe an older couple, and usually I was the one, I would go and help them cut it down for them. But, like 90% of our customers loved cutting their own trees.
Really? Yeah. Not me. I would have had you cut it. So that was a good adventure.
You didn't have to tromp all over a lot of hillside to find our trees. We had relatively level property at the front of the farm, and then just gradual sloping area in the back. So it wasn't like you had to climb a mountain to go and find the tree.
Right, that was good. Did you have animals there? Did you have pets and stuff?
Oh yeah, we had dogs. We had a couple of poodles for a long while, and we had a lab that was so good with all the people that came, and people brought kids. That was part of the experience. And Casey, our lab, the kids would hug Casey, and she'd just stand there and love it. So we always had a dog of one kind or another.
Sounds good. So then when you closed it down, when you left the farm, where did you go then?
Well, we really liked Morgan Hill, and we did technically look at some other areas. Gloria had relatives in Arizona and Minnesota, and I had relatives in Idaho and Oregon and Utah.
That's right.
But we both liked Morgan. We both loved California, especially for our lifestyle. And we decided then to look for a place, a house in town, once we knew we had the farm sold. So we did leave the farm and then moved into town, had a real nice, just a nice 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in a nice neighborhood. It was after we both retired Gloria retired first, and then I retired 2 years later, that we then realistically thought, let's sell the farm and move into town. And so that's when that decision was made. And we were very glad, very glad.
What year was that?
That was, it was actually 1998 that we sold the farm. I mean, that we bought the house in San Jose, and we rented it out to the people we bought from until we were positive we had the tree farm sold. And so then the tree farm sold within about 6 or 8 months, and then we actually moved into the town in Morgan Hill in 1999.
So was that, do you think that was a good investment, the tree farm?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For the times, it was a very good investment.
What was something that you really cherished about Gloria?
Gloria never met anybody that she didn't like. She was one of the most friendly and outgoing people, because I saw her in many different situations over all the years. But I admired that so much. And she was always interested in doing things, trying things. And, she was very positive about people. She never really had bad things to say about people. So we were both alike in that. We liked to be positive about things. But she was, particularly because she was so friendly and outgoing, that she had lots and lots of friends. We had lots and lots of friends, many of them because of her outreach and my being, wow, this is great, I love it.
Sort of that never meet a stranger person, huh?
Oh, yeah, it's great.
Right, that's great.
And in our own private life, we attuned with each other very well. We had similar interests, similar, if we had disagreements, we knew how to handle it. We were 30 years old when we got together, so we weren't exactly kids.
I think that's a good practice, frankly.
Yeah, I think so, too. It was excellent for us.
You'd already tried the field a little bit by then.
Yeah,
time to
that's right. Yeah, that's right. So, I have sent you pictures of a couple of the things we got involved with in the city of Morgan Hill.
Are really helpful. Kelly put them together with music and.
Yeah.
And you played golf together. I understand Gloria was a great golfer.
She was. I had been a ho-hum golfer because one of the other teachers at San Jose City College when I was there was a golfer, and so I had gone out a few times with her and her friends. But I never really thought of myself as a golfer, but Gloria was and did. So we became very good golfers. We joined a ladies' club in San Jose and played, especially after we retired. When we were working, we just played on the weekends or the summer when we could, but we played a lot. Yeah, it was great for us.
Did you do the legal marriage opportunity?
Yes, I sent one picture showing our wedding, and that was in 2008. And at that year was the year that California had approved gay marriage. It was also during the summer of that time that the opposition to that edict had come on strong, and there was an item on the ballot for November to kill that edict for California. So, we had talked about marriage, and Gloria was really more hep on it than I was, but I was agreeable. But when all of this threat came, first the auction came, and we thought, let's talk more seriously about that. So when it did come, and we recognized by the news and everything that it looked like that maybe that opportunity in California was going to be taken away from us. So we we upped our time frame, and so we were married then at the backyard of our own home, as I said, and we were married on the 13th of September, 2008, and then in the subsequent election in November, the marriages in California that had already happened couldn't be taken away, but there were no more approved until, I think it was almost 5 years before it became federally approved. So we were very happy about doing that at the right time.
Yes, I understand that.
Yeah.
It's not an option. It's an option for everyone, but everyone doesn't really take advantage of it, which is fine too.
Right. That's right. Having it yes or no is a good, but when you know that it's no, you can't do it, then, it's a little more serious.
So then when did Gloria become ill?
Gloria had ups and downs in her health during a lot of the final 15, 20 years that we were together. In fact, she had a very serious cancer a long time before we retired. And but came through it. It was a cancer, and she came through it okay and was fine. But she became sick. We have this place in Arizona that this is all after we've retired now. That we'd go in January and usually come back in the end of March. About 2018. About 2018. She had some hearing problems, and so we'd gone to a hearing doctor and see about that. Didn't find anything technically wrong with her hearing, but through some x-rays did find a tumor in her upper head, kind of between the ear and the jaw. And she had to have radiation for that. She wasn't having any physical problems other than couldn't hear. But the doctor said, the location of that tumor is very important that we get that taken care of.
So, had you and Gloria talked about the eventuality that one of you would die first, all those terrible things?
Yeah. Yes, we had gotten a trust several years before. All our financial arrangements and our trust, and of course we were married, so that fortunately, even despite the trust, was helpful, but the marriage meant that I could make many of the decisions that I needed to make. And in the trust, we had both agreed ahead of time that we didn't want any unusual, exceptional efforts made if it was not something that was going to save our lives. And so that was easy for me, because the doctor told me, there's nothing there. The only thing is her heart is still beating for a while. And in fact, her heart continued to beat for about 13 hours after that first episode. I had called some friends, and
I remember you said that they were there.
We were there, and she was still on the gurney that had been brought into the emergency room, and the doctors had done all they could, so there was a nurse there, and she was on monitor, and her heart kept beating, but it was about 13 hours before the nurse said, okay, that's it. So that was the 10th of June, 2019. It was not a happy time. I was so happy I had friends around.
Yes.
Because it was so helpful.
Friends are important.
My sister, in about 2 or 3 days, my sister flew in from Idaho to be with me for a while. And of course, my close friends were there all the time. So that was a sad moment, but it was 54 years of wonderful memories.
Wow, that's
and
wonderful.
I'm happy that we had that, and that I still have that to look at.
I know. I feel like I know her through you. Yeah, she sounds wonderful.
I'm glad you asked for those pictures you did. I'm glad you saw the picture and the stuff about the Morgan Hill Dog Park, because you know, we were members of our community after
I know.
of
You were active.
the city of Morgan Hill. You know, we had lots of good experiences there with the dog park and the 4th of July parade and all those things. You know, we had a life in Morgan Hill for us, and we still had friends, and we played golf and all those things for the number of years we still lived in Morgan Hill. It was a good life we had.
Yes. Too short, though.
Yeah. We were both 80. We were both 84 when she died.
Uh-huh.
I became 85 in August, and she would have been 85 in December.
Wow.
But you know, life moves on, and it's. I'm sorry that she's not here. It would be much better for me, but I'm not going to become a hermit, and I'm not. You know, I see people, and it has to keep moving.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for doing this.
I'm very happy for the 54 years we had together, and I'm happy for us coming through those difficult years in terms of being accepted by everybody. But we were both accepted by our families and by our friends, so it was never hard to go visit either of our families. We loved it. We did it a lot.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to thank you for doing this. You have a beautiful life, and we want it to be remembered, and it will be.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.